I do want to get into Intel AI for enterprise inference. And what this is a framework that Intel's developed to be able to really run inference efficiently on our hardware, so on Gaudi and on Xeon. And these model endpoints are hosted, they can be hosted in any cloud really, but currently we have them hosted on two partners called Denvr Dataworks and IBM. The infrastructure I'm kind of showing here includes Kubernetes and multiple of these instances running on different cloud providers. And so you can actually access these models just with an API key, an OpenAI API key.
So basically, for the developers watching, all they need to access those models are just the API key.
Yeah, that's right. And basically the base URL that it's coming from as well.
Right. And I guess also the model name that they're going to be using. Because I think there's a plethora of models provided, so I believe you'll be talking about that too.
Yeah, but you can essentially just ping the endpoint and get the list of models. So you don't even have to know the name offhand if you just ping it like with code. Yeah, but yeah, I'll get into Denvr Dataworks a little bit here. So Denvr Dataworks is one of these cloud providers, and they have hosted our Gaudi 2 machines. And like we were talking about here, the first line I'm highlighting is that we can use this OpenAI API key, and we have access to a whole bunch of models, Llama models, DeepSeek models, Mistral, Qwen. So we have some great access to some top models, and these are always being added to as well. And so the ones that actually will be kind of more focused on today for this application is mainly the DeepSeek model for when we're prompting, and then a bit of the Llama model as well.
Yeah, and I guess for people watching that are not familiar with Gaudi, maybe just explain a little bit what Gaudi is.
Yeah, well, I know you're the expert here, Murillo, on Gaudi. You're leading our content, so you go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so Gaudi is an ASIC, application-specific integrated circuit. Basically what this means is that Gaudi is not a CPU, it's not a GPU, it's its own processor designed specifically for deep learning workloads, and it works really well for inference as well. So basically, those models are going to be hosted on different cloud providers, and they're going to be powered by Gaudi. So whenever that, for example, today, Ben's going to be doing some API calls and basically using those models, and they're going to be hosted on Gaudi. And I think Gaudi 2 is on Denvr, and then Gaudi 3s are on the IBM cloud, right?
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm showing here. So our IBM cloud, they're one of the first cloud providers to deliver Intel Gaudi 3. So this is another provider that you can use to get your models and ping those models there.
Awesome.
And yeah, what I'll make sure to do too is I know I'm going through a lot of different material. I'll make sure to link all these in the description so you have access to them, all these resources. So the next thing I wanted to get into is actually prompting an LLM to start being able to build code like the stock trader that I showed you at the beginning. Yeah, what I did here was actually built a little chat application using Streamlit, and then so Streamlit's for the front end, and then I put this on Hugging Face Spaces, which if you're not familiar with Hugging Face Spaces, it's essentially a place where you can upload or place your demo applications. And it's pretty easy to use, and you can kind of use it just like you would with Git. With GitHub, you're able to clone your code and then modify it and keep pushing your changes up to Hugging Face. And it works really well with like Streamlit and Gradio. So yeah, this is the application. And one of the things I wanted to highlight just at first before we prompt it is that OpenAI API key. So what you can actually do is go into the settings of the Hugging Face space, and then you can go down to the variables and secrets, and you can actually add like a secret right here for the OpenAI API key. So you can see that I already did that, and I put a base URL as well. So the base URL, is pointing to this Denvr Dataworks endpoint, and then I can't show you my API key, but what you can do is you just add a new secret, and you just name it whatever you're going to call it in your code. So in my case, OpenAI API key, and then you add the value, and then it's right here in the settings, and you don't expose it to the world. So that's good.
Okay, so people don't have to actually host their API keys locally, like on a .env file. They can actually just host their API keys on the Hugging Face space. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then like in the actual code itself, like if I look, for the st.secret, then you can see that I'm just calling it, the base URL from an environment variable and then the st.secrets for the secret. So yeah, you don't actually have to expose it anywhere, and you don't have to upload it. You just, place it in the settings.
I see. And what if people want to basically clone this and just run this application locally without being on Hugging Face? Then I guess they would just have an environment file and host those API keys there.
Yeah, so what you would do in that case is like, you can see that this kind of looks like some files in a Git repository, which is basically what it is. And what you can do is you can just do like a Git clone, and you would just do a Git clone of the main Hugging Face space URL that you're running, and then after you Git clone it, you can do a Streamlit run, and then the app.py. But yeah, you would have to add like the Streamlit's secrets file if you're going to run it locally. So
okay, so pretty simple. Clone the space, and then you can host your API key locally and basically chat with your LLM powered by Gaudi locally. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you can host the front end application locally, but you're still pinging the model that sits somewhere in the cloud. Some of the code to build this is on Streamlit's website. Like they have a build a basic LLM chat app, and so a lot of the code that I have is boilerplate code right from here. And I've just modified a couple things to make it a little bit more customized to our use case with the drop-down models on the left and some different things like that. But it's probably only like 80 lines of code, and it's pretty simple to set up. So yeah, it's cool that most people could probably just set up a chat app pretty quickly with this documentation.